Thanks for having us, Tim. I guess you leave the gold, the shiny object for last, right? So yeah, as you said, an Australian company, but working in Alaska. We're making that transition from explorer to developer now on our Estelle Gold project. Located in Alaska in the Tintina Gold Province, this has been one of the most prolific belts in recent times, over 200 million ounces of production and development, 10 million plus ounce deposit, not uncommon in our neighborhood. And that's what we believe we're onto here at our Corbel deposit at Estelle, where we currently have 4.7 million ounces, one small step to our 10 million ounce target at Corbel alone. Also, we have a proven leadership team with technical finance guys. We have many near-term milestones coming up this year as we unlock the Estelle Gold project. Next slide, please. Zooming in. So this image here, you see that yellow shaded is our 324 square kilometer claim block. To access the site, we have a beautiful piece of infrastructure there, 4,000 plus foot airstrip. We can bring in very large planes. We service the site in the summertime. We have a permanent camp located there. We're a year-round operation. Also in the winter, we access the site by a snow road. Very common in this area to do operations and construction via snow road. Nevertheless, we also are on the fast track here to develop a year-round access road going from the Port of Anchorage, tying into the major highway and rail system that then will have its terminus out at the Estelle Gold project. So that'll be coming online about the same time we're looking at a decision to mine and dig up the first dirt. In terms of power, lots of options. Natural gas, geothermal, coal, renewables we're looking into as well. So all of this de-risks the project, of course, as we look at this access and other infrastructure, as well as this pipeline of projects we have coming, as we'll go through in the next few slides. Next slide. So this is zooming into the Corbel deposit. This is where we have 4.7 million ounces of gold currently in our Corbel main deposit. This currently has a strike length of 1.8 kilometers and wide open. And so in the Corbel Valley, plenty of upside, which we plan to continue to target this year and as the years progress, including the Cathedral prospect to the south there, where we have several ounces per tons in rock chips. But majority of our drilling, we have 4 rigs this year as opposed to 2 rigs last year. So our drilling just continues nonstop from now into the foreseeable future. So this year with those 4 rigs, 1 rig on infill drilling there, that's those lines you see on the image, to start proving up these resources to the measured and indicated categories. So as we move to the PFS, those will translate into reserves, and also step out, another rig stepping out along strike to the northwest and also to the southeast, where we're seeing a real much higher grade, potentially starter pit zone there to the south. Next slide, please. Here's some slides, a slide of our current resource model. And what you can see here is that the geometry of our ore body is just very ideal. It's like a blob, like an elliptical shape. We're not chasing a small, narrow vein and rooting around trying to find the vein. It's a mineralized intrusive. It's basically mineralized throughout. It's a sea of mineralization. And what you get is from this type of a geometry is ideal economics. From the surface, very low strip ratio, approaching 0. So basically everything you dig up is some type of pay dirt. You know, this is one of the problems in many mines is ore loss and dilution. Well, with this type of geometry, very low strip ratio to take care of some of those problems. 20, 30-year mine life on these type of deposits, intrusive related gold systems, we call them. And ideal economics, which allows us to mine at a very low cutoff grade and with a very good profit. Some of the most profitable mines in the world producing gold at $600 to $800 per ounce. If you look at our peers in the Tintina province, Kinross, Fort Knox, Victoria Gold, Dublin Gulch, similar style of mineralization there. So very, very profitable and able to mine at a very low cutoff grade. Next slide, please. Right, so what we've been talking about where we have the 4.7 million ounce resource is the Corbel deposit. This sits, those dots in the northern side of the image, that's the Corbel Valley. This represents only 2% of the total land area of our 324 square kilometer claim block. Across the claims, we have another 15 other known prospects at various stages of advancement. So 20 miles to name a few, or to name the next cab off the rank, is the RPM prospect. 20 miles along mineralized strike to the south. I say mineralized strike. This is a mineralized intrusive corridor through here. And along there, when you fly that distance from core bell to RPM, littered with gold showings and prospects that we know about, but as well, when you look down, there's just screaming color anomalies that are looking back at you. So many of them are unnamed. And so as the year progresses, we tend to get down on the ground and start to advance and find even more prospects. But RPM is the next one, the next cab off the rank, and a lot of potential there. Next slide, please. So here's RPM. What we have there is an existing drill hole of 120 meters at over a gram. We've also done some rock chip sampling there at the end of last year, where we have 9 to 10 ounces per ton. In addition to that, we've not only have the RPM1, that's the original RPM, we've just found another zone, which actually looks more promising. That's RPM2 to the south there. And so we have drill pads already built out there. Next month, in the coming weeks, we will be drilling that prospect. And so we have up to 5,000 to 10,000 meters planned for there. This year, we'll be coming out with a maiden resource this year. Don't even want to speculate out right now how many millions of ounces might be there. But what this does, it'll add some serious depth to the Estelle Gold Project with 2 resource areas to continue to advance as the year progressed, as the years progress. Remember, RPM, the rock chip sampling there, 9 to 10 ounces per ton. What you're getting is not just the intrusive related gold system, but these bonanza grades, because there's an epithermal overprint as well. Epithermal systems have very high grades. So very, very promising. And it'll seriously add to our resource inventory for the project as a whole as we move forward. Next slide, please. So here's our resource trajectory. From what we're talking about here is in the 18 months since our maiden resource in 2019, we've more than doubled the resource. We've gone from 2.5 million ounces to 4.7 million ounces, with the deposit remaining wide open and serious, very proximal in the Corbell Valley upside, as well as across the claims. And so that trajectory is on a steep upward curve. And we plan to come out with another resource update later in this year as our drilling just continues. And that'll be focused, as I said, on Corbell, the Corbell Valley there, maiden at Corbell Main extension infill, as well as a maiden resource at RPM. So look for another resource upgrade later this year. Next slide, please. So here's some of the studies and the project developments that we're doing. To focus on a few, we have a number of projects going on to improve the infrastructure and access. One of them is an on-site prep lab. So we'll be basically on-site taking our samples down from 10 kilos down to less than a kilo. So that'll save serious on freight, as well as send it straight to the analytical lab, where we'll improve our turnarounds. Last year we had a bit of an issue with that with the whole virus thing. So we'll improve our turnarounds significantly. The other thing I want to focus on here is our metallurgical test work. Now, with the resource upgrade update that we just came out with in April, plus the metallurgical test work that we've been doing, we will be releasing our first scoping study come on or before July 1st of this year. So we've looked at a number of things: heap leach, CIP, gravity, fine grind, and ore sorting. And so the way our flow sheet is developing is we're kind of going in a different direction than initially envisioned. We've envisioned ourselves similar to our peers, a bulk mineable heap leach style operation. Well, we're still a bulk mineable operation because we've got 500 million tons of ore, but what we're looking at is a bulk mineable milling circuit. And the reason for that primarily is due to ore sorting. Ore sorting technology has come a long way. Our test work has shown that we can take 0.5 gram dirt and upgrade it in our stage 1 test work to 6 grams per ton. And so there's serious value adding coming from this ore sorting. And so that'll definitely be in our flow sheet. And then the rest of the flow sheet through our mill and into our plant, we're getting very good gravity and flotation results. And then you reduce the volume down, and you're all these concentration steps, that the volume is very high, very low volume, but very high grade at the end before you go through an intensive leach, getting over 90% recovery. So that seems to be the direction we're taking. The primary flow sheet is developing like that. More to come in the upcoming scoping study, and also plan to have a bit of a flow sheet news release in the interim. Next slide, please. All right, the other thing I wanted to touch on is that Nova has done some has had some strategic investments over the last few years, and these are really coming to fruition. Have already added serious value to Nova, and the upside on these is huge as well. Snow Lake Resources, a lithium is back in the news. This is a lithium project in Manitoba, Canada. 74% owned by Nova. We plan to spin that out. We're doing a capital raise on that and spin that out. That'll give value to Nova shareholders. Also, Torian Resources, located in the West Australian goldfields. First, we've seen some serious growth in this. Very exciting times in their Mount Sterling project with some recent drill results. They're planning to come out with a maiden resource at that project as well. So Torian Resources, one to look out for. And Rotorex. Rotorex, we got into this because we use a lot of helicopters. And so in order to get one of these heavy lift drone helicopters, which can be manned or autonomous, unmanned, we invested in this company in order to get one of these. And that investment is actually a loan, and we'll get that paid back. So no cost to us, actually at a pretty good interest rate that'll be paid back next year. But this company is taking regular convention combustible engine fuel helicopters and transporters or heavy lift helicopters, and they're making now electric versions to be rolled out this year. And so that'll not only in the commercial industrial space, but also in the urban space, the executive helicopter electric, imagine executive or people's mobility jumping from building to building in the cities, and also the transporter, which will be like the new bus, a bus electric. These are all electric, and they'll hop around like buses, bringing people from suburb to suburb. Very exciting times with Rotorex. This space is very exciting. There's been multi-billion-dollar deals in this space recently, and we plan to IPO this at some stage. Next slide, please. So there you have it, Nova Minerals. Keep us on your target, on your radar. Join us in this journey as we take out these world-class resources on the fast track to production, and as we unlock the Estelle Gold Project. And I'll open it up for Q&A right there.
Thanks, Chris. Love the entrepreneurial passion there. We've got a question here. You've been doing a lot of drilling since January. When can we expect to see some results from those projects?
Right. So you recall that the reason there's been no results is because you recall the assay lab that we have to deal with up here. The last drilling program we did was 4 to 5 months to get results back. And so to avoid that, as I said, we're building an on-site prep lab to be able to do the prep work on site, so that, because most of the turnaround was happening up in Fairbanks, where that's where all the backlog was. There's a number of other projects operating, plus they had severe COVID work restrictions. And so we're waiting. That is being constructed now. Everything's on site. We're just doing some framing for the, and also the electric guys are coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Big lead time on getting electrical supplies to wire things in as well. Not only on-site prep lab, but for our camp expansion. We're expanding our camp to be a 50-man camp this year as well. That's what you actually see in this slide in front of you. This is our current camp. So yeah, so the prep lab will come online in May, and then we'll start to process samples. So sometime in June, we'll start to see some results flow through.
And Chris, you got lots of ore bodies. Do you start small and develop a lower cost deposit, or do you go a lot bigger to enhance the whole NPV?
Right. This is the dilemma. So on this project, you can see we could be drilling the next 2, 5, 10 years, 10 million ounces, 20 million ounces. Well, we're an aspiring gold producer. We're not here to play the market or a lifestyle company or something like that. We're here to be the next producer, low-cost producer in Alaska. And so the sweet spots for us, and we believe we're at that stage now, which is why we're coming out with the scoping study, is that as a starter for us, something around the 250 million market, or 250 million capex to develop, 10-year mine life, producing somewhere around 200,000 ounces a year. We believe we have that starter pit area, which will give us an early payback, 1 to 1.5 year payback. So those type of economics are what we're focused on to get this starter operation going. And once we have that going, we can always scale up, and we intend to do that for sure.
And finally, you've gone hard on infrastructure prior to the scoping study results. You must be very bullish on those projects.
Of course. Where else can you go in the world in 18 months, increase your resource inventory by double it? 2.5 million ounces, basically 2 million ounces from the initial maiden to now 18 months. We've increased it by 2 million ounces for a total of 4.7 million ounces this year. But the reason we have a camp and a year-round infrastructure is because in Alaska, you can operate year-round, but you have to invest in the infrastructure like a camp, airstrip, core processing and sample processing facilities. We did that early on 2 years ago, 18 months ago, right? And so now with some of these projects, you'll hear about them for 3 or 4 months during the summer season, and then you don't hear about them for the rest of the year because they pull out. Well, we're not in that situation. We're a year-round operation, and we've had people there all year, and we're just ramping up and making it even more busy out there as this year and the years progress.